Before dawn in East Java, hundreds of men descend into an active volcanic crater. Sulfur dioxide fills the air. The lake below can dissolve metal. They pry raw sulfur from the earth and carry up to 90 kilograms on their shoulders, with no machines and no protective gear, for roughly $8 a day. This is life inside Ijen, and the price these sulfur miners pay goes far deeper than wages. The air inside Kawah Ijen's crater is a heavy chemical haze. The primary threat is invisible: sulfur dioxide gas. In the active mining zone, concentrations of this toxic gas routinely exceed international safety thresholds, often measuring between 480 and 6,960 parts per billion. Inhaling these vapors causes immediate, sharp irritation to the eyes, throat, and lungs, forcing the body to fight for every breath. Beneath the vapor, the geology itself is highly volatile. Near the active vents and fumaroles, temperatures rise above 200 degrees Celsius. Superheated gases escape from deep within the earth, condensing into liquid sulfur that pools and hardens into bright yellow crusts. The heat in this zone is intense and constant, radiating directly from the stone underfoot. Sudden gas bursts and frenetic explosions remain constant risks. Concentrated plumes can release from the vents without warning, rapidly shifting the air quality and visibility. Avoiding these pockets requires steady movement on steep, fractured volcanic rock. The descent down the crater walls is sharp, dropping hundreds of meters over loose scree and narrow, unstable ledges. At the bottom of this basin sits the turquoise crater lake. It is the largest, highly acidic body of water on Earth, with a pH level below 0.5. The water is corrosive enough to destroy metal and burn skin on contact, framing the entire workspace in a delicate balance between active volcanic forces and those who must work beside them. Even when the volcanic vents are quiet, a constant hazard remains. Every day, miners haul solid sulfur blocks weighing between 70 and 90 kilograms. They transport these loads entirely on foot, carrying them up a 5-kilometer trail without the aid of pulleys, carts, or mechanized support. For many workers, this cargo equals or exceeds their own body weight, balanced on a simple wooden shoulder bar. The physical strain is an unavoidable hazard of every shift, causing chronic joint damage and spinal pressure over years of daily labor. Long before the gases or heat take their toll, the sheer weight of the sulfur serves as a direct test of physical capacity, defining a lifestyle built entirely on manual hauling. Every night, while the surrounding villages of Lishin and Tamansari are still asleep, the work cycle begins. Between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, miners gather at the base of Kawah Ijen. They often share a quick hot drink at the trailhead, quiet conversations cementing a bond built on years of shared labor. The first stage of their shift is a steep trek up the outer slopes of the mountain. Walking under the cover of night helps the workers avoid the oppressive heat of the daytime sun. Guided only by the narrow beams of flashlights and headlamps, they climb the dirt path in silent groups, carrying their empty bamboo baskets and iron tools. Upon reaching the windswept crater rim, the path changes dramatically. In the pitch blackness, the miners begin their descent toward the crater floor, a steep drop along the inner wall of the caldera. They make their way down narrow, uneven trails consisting of loose volcanic ash and fractured stone. Step by step, the group moves slowly into the dark basin, relying on decades of collective memory to maintain footing on the unstable incline. By the time the first light of dawn begins to color the eastern sky, they have reached the active vents at the bottom, ready to begin the hard manual extraction. This early arrival allows them to work during the coolest hours of the morning before the sun makes the volcanic basin nearly unbearable. At the base of Kawah Ijen's crater, the work of physical extraction begins immediately. The miners use heavy, solid iron bars to pry the hardened sulfur crust from the active volcanic vents. They wedge the metal tips under the cooled, bright yellow sheets, using their body weight as leverage to break the mineral into large, transportable slabs. Once broken, the jagged chunks of sulfur are hand-sorted and packed tightly into 2 woven bamboo baskets. These baskets, connected by a flexible wooden yoke, must be balanced precisely to prevent the heavy load from shifting during the climb. The miners lift the wooden bar onto their shoulders, raising a cargo that routinely weighs between 70 and 90 kilograms. The climb out of the crater is a test of pure human power. Without the aid of machinery, pulleys, or carts, the men carry these massive loads up the steep, irregular stone steps of the caldera wall. Every step demands careful coordination, balancing the weight of the sulfur against the loose volcanic gravel underfoot. To minimize exposure to the rising daytime temperatures, the miners complete this grueling climb twice each day. This highly repetitive cycle transforms the intense labor into a structured routine, driven entirely by stamina, precision, and physical endurance. The physical toll of this labor accumulates slowly, gradually reshaping the miners' bodies over decades of work. Breathing the concentrated sulfur dioxide plumes day after day causes persistent inflammation of the airways, leading to chronic respiratory conditions. Without industrial respirators, most workers protect themselves with nothing more than damp cloth rags gripped between their teeth or simple improvised masks. These makeshift barriers offer little defense against the acidic gas, which continuously burns the throat and lungs. Beneath the respiratory strain, the constant pressure of carrying up to 90 kilograms down uneven trails deforms the physical frame. The heavy wooden yoke compresses the spine, wearing down the vertebrae and severely damaging the knees and hips. Over time, many men develop permanently swollen shoulders and altered gaits. Eye and skin irritation from the airborne sulfur dust are daily realities, with acidic mist causing regular dermal burns. This silent, systemic erosion of health represents the quiet reality of the trade, where every completed shift exacts a permanent price. Scientific measurements record the physical scale of this environment. Inside the crater, sulfur dioxide concentrations range from 480 to 6,960 parts per billion, while the volcanic lake registers a highly acidic pH below 0.5. Among the 200 to 300 miners active daily at Ijen, local health clinics note that 60% present with respiratory complaints annually, yet only 15% have access to spirometry testing. These conditions contribute to 74 reported deaths over 4 decades, and a life expectancy of 50 years compared to 70 in the wider region. While other volcanic sites like Dieng limit manual hauling to 30 to 50 kilograms and Poaz relies on mechanization, Ijen remains entirely reliant on manual labor. Miners operate under a strict piece rate system, earning roughly 800 Indonesian rupiah per kilogram of sulfur delivered to the weighing station. This rate translates to typical daily earnings of $7 to $8, or about $42 to $48 for a 6-day work week. In these remote volcanic communities, where agricultural jobs yield very little, this modest cash income is necessary to pay for food, school fees, and basic household necessities. Aside from immediate survival, the work is closely tied to family tradition and community identity, passed down through generations. Outside efforts to improve safety face persistent hurdles. NGO programs distribute simple respirators and organize basic health screenings, but many miners find the masks hot and restrictive in the thin air. Proposals to install mechanized winches or carts are constantly stalled by the unstable volcanic terrain. Meanwhile, a growing tourist trade offers some extra income through guiding, but it also brings crowded paths, delays, and an uneasy relationship where daily survival becomes a public spectacle. Today, global tourism rises alongside this punishing ancient labor. These miners endure not by choice, but by necessity. Until economic alternatives arrive, survival here will always carry a devastating human cost. What are your thoughts on their reality? Share them in the comments.